It is 9:47 p.m. You drop your bag by the door. Your dog is sitting 3 feet away, completely still, looking at you with half-closed eyes. You walk past you, open the fridge, you check your phone, and in that 10-second window, your dog just handed you a biochemical reset that your nervous system has been screaming for since noon, and you treated it like furniture. This isn't about what your dog needs from you. This is about what your body already needed from them, and why your brain couldn't register the offer. Still running on 8 hours of social performance and sympathetic overdrive. In 2015, researchers at Azabu University in Japan published a finding that quietly rewrote everything we assumed about cross-species bonding. They measured 30 dog-owner pairs and discovered something. When a dog holds soft, relaxed eye contact with their human, no tension in the face, no demand, just presence, both brains enter an oxytocin feedback loop. The same loop, the exact neurochemical circuit that bonds a mother to her newborn. Not a metaphor, not a poetic comparison. The identical hormonal cascade confirmed in urinary samples from both species. Simultaneously, dogs whose gaze lasted longer triggered higher oxytocin spikes in their owners. And when researchers gave the dogs nasal oxytocin, they gazed even longer, which pushed the humans' levels higher still. Wolves raised from birth by the same humans produced zero effect. This pathway didn't exist before domestication. It took 33,000 years of coevolution to build a neurochemical bridge between two entirely different species. And it activates in 3 to 5 seconds of quiet mutual looking. Your dog offers this every single evening: soft eyes, loose face, unhurried stillness. No performance, no transaction. And most nights you're still locked in the residual hum of your day. Cortisol still elevated, shoulders still braced, thoughts still looping that the offer passes without landing. You aren't ignoring your dog. Your nervous system is simply too loud to receive a signal that quiet. But the gaze is only the most visible of these offers. The next one is so fast, so subtle, that no human eye catches it in real time. It happens in a fraction of a second, fired by a single muscle that didn't exist in wolves. A muscle that evolved across millennia for one purpose only. Your dog yawned 30 seconds after you did last night. You probably thought it was tired. It wasn't. What happened inside that animal's body is closer to a radio, locking onto a frequency than anything resembling sleepiness. Its autonomic nervous system detected a shift in yours, a microsignal you broadcast without knowing, and mirrored it before conscious thought could intervene. Jolie Mascheroni's team recorded a 72% contagion rate for cross-species yawning higher than what most human-to-human studies find. Silva's group at the University of Porto stripped the experiment further. Audio only, no visual cues, and dogs still yawned significantly more for their owner's voice than a stranger's. Romero monitored cardiac rhythms throughout and confirmed the response wasn't stress-driven. This isn't imitation. This is two nervous systems running on a shared clock. Now drop your perspective to 12 centimeters off the ground. From inside that body, the world is a continuous stream of threat data. Cortisol signatures drifting off your skin. The cadence of your footsteps on the hallway. Floor rushed or slow, even or broken. The pitch of your exhale when you sit down. Every one of these inputs feeds a system that evolved to answer a single question at every moment. Is my environment stable or collapsing? When your sympathetic nervous system is still firing from the day, the commute, the inbox, the performance you held together for 9 hours. Your dog's body registers that instability. The way a seismograph registers tremor. It doesn't interpret, doesn't empathize in the way we romanticize. It processes. And then something remarkable happens. It offers its own parasympathetic rhythm back. The slow blink, the weight settling against your leg, the deliberate unhurried exhale through its nose. These aren't affection, they are counter-signals. Downregulation cues broadcast from one mammalian nervous system into another. This is co-regulation at its most ancient. Your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis has been dumping cortisol all day. And now a 40-pound animal with a resting heart rate twice yours is functioning as a biological metronome, pulling your breathing longer without a single word exchanged. No performance required from you. No reciprocal social labor. Just two bodies in proximity, one of them offering a rhythm the other has lost access to. And that synchronization doesn't stop at the living room. On every walk, your dog runs a continuous check, not on the trail ahead but on you. Here is what is actually happening inside your dog's body when it does these things, not poetry, physiology. That tail wag you read, as happiness is governed by brain hemisphere lateralization. Quaranta and Siniscalchi at the University of Bari measured it precisely. Left hemisphere activation drives the tail rightward. Right hemisphere activation drives it left. These aren't moods, they are asymmetric motor outputs, reflecting which neural circuits are dominant in that exact moment. When your dog sees you, the left hemisphere fires. Approach circuitry, dopaminergic reward pathways. The strongest rightward bias the researchers recorded was triggered by the owner. Not food, not a toy, you. And here is the part that dissolves any remaining anthropomorphic comfort. Siniscalchi proved in 2013 that other dogs decode this asymmetry in real time. A left-biased wag elevated cardiac output and stress markers in observing dogs. A right-biased wag kept their autonomic nervous system quiet. There's an entire channel of social information flowing beneath your perceptual threshold, and your dog is both broadcasting and receiving on it constantly. Now pull back further. When your dog glances at you on a walk and then continues forward, that is an affection. That is the secure base system operating through the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. The Messerly Research Institute demonstrated that dogs persist longer at difficult tasks. Only when their owner is present, a stranger cannot substitute. The mechanism is social buffering. Your presence suppresses cortisol release along the HPA axis. Your dog's adrenal glands literally produce less stress hormone because your body is within sensory range. Remove you, and allostatic load climbs. The backward glance isn't a compliment, it is a cortisol check. Your dog's nervous system is sampling whether its primary co-regulator is still accessible. This isn't a relationship the way you imagine relationships. It is two autonomic nervous systems locked in continuous feedback. Your parasympathetic tone influences theirs. Your breathing rate, your muscle tension, your gait rhythm, all of it is being read through the dog's proprioceptive system and vomeronasal organ before you are consciously aware of your own state. The dog doesn't decide to love you, its vagus nerve responds to your presence. The way your pupils respond to light, involuntary, immediate, measurable. So when that tail sweeps right as you walk through the door, when those glances land on you every few seconds on the trail, you aren't witnessing emotion in the way you experience emotion. You're witnessing a nervous system that evolved over 33,000 years to treat your proximity as a physiological resource. And the next signal your dog offers, the one involving a completely unprotected abdomen and every vital organ it owns, takes that vulnerability somewhere your conscious mind almost cannot follow. So here is the part where most of you are building a case against yourselves. You watched everything I just described, the soft gaze, the belly exposure, sleep architecture shifting in your presence, and somewhere in your chest a quiet voice started whispering that you've been missing these signals for years, that you walked past them, that you were on your phone or rushing out the door or too drained from your own day to notice your dog handing you the most vulnerable thing it owns. I need you to hear this clearly. That guilt you're feeling right now isn't evidence of failure. It is evidence that you and your dog are running different biological operating systems, and nobody ever gave you the translation manual. Your prefrontal cortex processes bonding through language, narrative, memory. You need someone to say the words. You need context. You need a story that makes sense before you register love as real. Your dog's limbic system doesn't work that way. It processes bonding through scent concentration, through cortisol fluctuation, through microsecond shifts in your muscle tension that your own conscious mind can even detect. A 2019 study from the University of Bari confirmed something. Dogs read human emotional states primarily through the right hemisphere, pulling data from your body faster than your left brain can assemble a sentence about how your day went. You were never ignoring your dog. You were processing connection through a system that requires conscious attention, while your dog was processing it through a system that operates below attention entirely. You aren't negligent. You're just running different hardware. Your dog doesn't need you to have noticed every signal. Its oxytocin loop fires whether you consciously register the gaze or not. The bonding happened anyway. Your nervous system responded anyway. The co-regulation was already running in the background, like a program you never opened but that never stopped working. And the exhaustion you carry home from your day, the performance you maintain for every other human in your life, the weight of being watched and evaluated and measured. Your dog never asked you to perform through any of that. It read your shoulders dropping when you sat on the couch. It registered your breathing slowing before you did. Moved closer not because you earned it, but because your parasympathetic nervous system was finally doing something honest. And your dog followed that honesty like a signal fire. You didn't miss the conversation. You were in it the whole time. Your body was answering even when your mind was somewhere else. And that is exactly why what comes next will reframe something. Something you've probably punished your dog for. Something that looks like guilt on their face but is actually the most generous thing their nervous system knows how to do. So now, 33,000 years of co-evolved language has been playing out in your living room every single day, and the most generous signal your dog sends is the one you were taught to punish. That realization alone already shifted something in your nervous system. You felt your shoulders drop half an inch while you were watching this. You probably didn't notice your dog would have. Here is what I want you to do tonight. Not a training protocol, not a behavioral modification plan, nothing that requires a clicker or a treat pouch or a YouTube tutorial with 14 steps. Just this, when you get home, before you check your phone, before you open the fridge, before you do anything that pulls you back into the performance of your day. Sit down on the floor, not the couch, the floor. Get low. Let your spine settle against a wall or a cabinet if you need to. And just exist at their eye level for 2 or 3 minutes, that is it. You aren't asking anything of them. You aren't initiating play. You aren't rewarding or correcting, you're just becoming still. In a space where your dog can reach you without jumping, without straining, without performing excitement. To match the energy you usually walk in with. What you're doing, whether you realize it or not, is giving your own parasympathetic nervous system a chance to actually engage the act of lowering your body, slowing your breath, removing the vertical distance between you and another living creature. That sequence interrupts the sympathetic loop you've been running since you left the house. This morning, your cortisol doesn't need a meditation app to start dropping. Needs a reason to believe the threat is over. A warm body pressing against your knee while your breathing slows is one of the oldest reasons your biology recognizes. Pay attention to what happens in those 2 minutes. Not to your dog. To you, notice whether your jaw unclenches. Notice whether the mental rehearsal of tomorrow's meetings loses its grip. Notice whether your exhale gets longer than your inhale without you forcing it. Your dog will probably lean into you, or rest their chin on your thigh, or simply sit close enough that you can feel their ribs expanding. That is co-regulation, not a trick, not affection you earned. Just 2 nervous systems remembering they were built to settle each other down. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to be better, you just need to be low and slow and present for 120 seconds. If this kind of pet interaction brings you back into your body, that isn't weakness. It is your nervous system recognizing a form of connection that lets it recover without performing. Now I want to hear what you noticed. Drop into the comments and tell me what shifted, not what your dog did. What happened inside your chest, your breath, your head during those 2 minutes on the floor. I want to know which part of your day finally let go. Tonight, do one restorative thing first. Sit on the floor for 2 or 3 minutes. Notice whether your breath gets longer. Notice whether your shoulders start to drop, and notice how quickly the rumination begins to break. This is for your recovery, not a performance review.